A new dirt road snakes through the evolving hills of Buhweju district across the ochre-red earth. The climate here is cool, and occasionally a rain may pound the grounds to disrupt the serenity of this landscape. To the farmers, it is a harvest time as they carry their produce to the markets. Here, it is a common place to find women and children involved in hard labor to provide for their families. This group of women and children eke a living by crushing these rocks into stones. One of the poorest areas in the Ankole sub-region, Buhweju is endowed with minerals. In every pocket of the district, there is a gold mine. Yet there's little to show of this mineral wealth. In every pocket of Buhweju district, there lies a gold mine. But the paradox is that there are barely any visible traces of development in this district. Schools, hospitals, and roads are in an ailing state. Yet investors continue to rush here in search of these precious stones. At this vast wasteland in Katenga village, women toil from dawn to dusk to earn household income to fend for their families. With shovels in their hands, they cut across hills of rock to fill their basins and improvise jerrycans. In the desolate lands where gold is buried, they straddle these giant pits on barefoot to carry the flakes of these precious stones. Painfully, they navigate these strips from the bottom to the top. It is a balancing act which requires skill. Beads of sweat drip down the face of this woman. Yet she must remain unwavering if the family is to have a meal. Each one of these women is paid a paltry 100 shillings for the basin of rocks they carry from the pit.
That this endowment, that this wealth, that this gold and these other very many minerals in Buhweju are not mainly benefiting the people of Buhweju, but benefiting those who come, exploit, and go. And even when they are doing that, they use primitive methods. You saw women with bare hands, you know. If you go down to the mines, you see, people are just with bare hands. They are just going down the mines with, with no helmets, with no protective gear, with nothing.
Labor exploitation of these children and women, very, very rampant, very rampant. In fact, in the district like which, it's not only in the mines, but even in other enterprises, like you'll find children in tea plantations. We are growing a lot of tea around here. But we have an office in charge of labor issues, and as a district we have engaged that office to ensure that children, first of all, are not exploited. As you are saying, for them they get excited, they are paid very cheaply, even when they have provided a lot of hard work and labor, so they can't even know the value, matching the amount of labor and the amount of efforts they have put and the amount they get. So there is a lot of exploitation.
Of these challenges and issues that women are facing, the organization tries to do lots of things, including making a public awareness of the rights of women participation in the gold mining, to make the men and the women out there know that this is a source of income, these are resources within the community, and you can access the mines and work. The other thing is to do the trainings, letting the women know that touching mercury directly is not right, and there are so many health consequences that come with it. There is need to use protective gear.
They have to make several routes to earn a small fee. With bare hands, they have no protective gear, and so are their male counterparts. It's difficult to fathom that without the exploitation of these rural women, these precious stones that fetch staggering prices may not reach the department stores. NTV could not speak to these women because we feared that this could place their employment in jeopardy. But their leaders offered to speak on behalf of those affected.
We don't have protective gears. We don't have them. And that, in fact, that's among our challenge. Dangers, the pit can fall on you and then you die from there.
How about chemicals?
The chemicals also, they have effects on us, but some time back, a certain organization came and trained us. So we are trying to be away from the chemicals.
Chemicals, no rata bakuzwara boots. Mwe nabwo cyo chemicals zine kubata aho mbigere zikabata aho mbyara. Machure ne twaro bwira buringwa kureba ko yakurwaza. Mwe nabarwira bar umuntu basita kubamanya ngo barwira. Abo kwa ne twaro bwira buringwa kuza kumanya ngo umuntu yagerata yasasa.
Across this expanse are hounds which guard the pits. They are ready to strike if anyone steals gold. The manager here says, whereas he could improve conditions, he has helped to offer employment to these women.
I have over 40 workers.
And how are you paying them and all?
Depends. They are paid accordingly to what they do. I pay, start from 15,000, that's on daily basis, 20, 25. Like those guys in the pit who collects the sand, the one we crush. Those ones, because they are using a lot of energy, they are using breakers. We give them 25 each. Then we have these guys who operate on the machine there. We give them 15,000. Then we have this one who are loading Kachincha, the tank of loading. They are also taking 15,000. Then we have like these women you have seen. We pay them on daily basis 10,000. Depends how many basins they have carried. Yeah.
Not far away from here is another gold mine. The roaring sound of motors filters through the hills of this landscape. Women at this site offer cheap labor. Here they collect the gold dust, which will later be carefully sifted. It's time for a meal as they take a break ahead of a tough day. Like their counterparts, there's often a risk at some of these mining sites. This man lost his relative at one of the mines when a heap of soil caved in.
Actually, what happened, the women were carrying sand of gold. As they were carrying sand, so the wall broke down and it beat them, so they have to die.
He took us to a place where this woman was buried in a banana plantation. She left behind orphans who live in a mud and water home. There are fears that chemicals used at some of these gold mines could affect the health of workers.
New development. Recently, I think 2-3 years ago, that's when it was introduced. We never knew anything about mercury. Me, I remember you saw mercury in a laboratory when I was still at school. But this time, especially this side of Katenga and in Kajana.
Yes, they're exposed to chemicals as they work, because most of the women in gold mines do the petty work of like gold washing, and there they are directly interfacing with the chemicals that are really harmful to their bodies.
The health hazards emanating out of this, use of mercury, use of whatever they are using. So at the end of the day, even before we go to the benefits, before we go to the economic outcomes out of this, you realize that the people of Buhweju are not just being cheated, but exploited. Now, it does not only go to the economic exploitation, but even their health.
There are also incidents of domestic violence.
Their families are collapsing, their children are just getting out of school because the family and the wife, they are just inseparable.
They are beaten. Men do not think that women should be in the gold mines. Number one, because of the cultural norms. So usually when a woman is so involved in gold mining, you're seen as a menace. Like it's not allowed in the culture. You're seen as a big-headed woman who should not fit in a home setting. So you come back home with the money, the man beats you up and takes up the monies that you've got.
At this site, entrance is restricted.
Come. How are you? Fine. What's your name? What did you do here? Why do these women don't have gloves? Why don't you give them gloves? Huh? They were having things with their bare hands. So do you think you're managing well?
This woman whose husband is in jail says there are people trying to grab one of the mines where the family has an interest.
ngo naija kumbinga ngo ya leta DPC ngo nashoera munyanya omushije wanje ajate atkando obwakusha munyanya DPC ate kino mbeshe cyazo mukono ya government abo kugira ngo umutego guzere guta tuguterire atko nakirebe nagamba nabana banje aba nabajantswazire kizubu cyangu mwakireba ati yono kamugiremo baba bingo mfuzi echo kumanyisa nabitahamu.
She says the mine is their only source of livelihood.
Yonoka taro kubasa kungure bintu byanje nyowo nko mucyara yakozere bintu byanje ndonyemeriri. No mwaka mu rubanywana bari mu mugambere ngo ecyo tikiri kubasa kata kubasa kumpungurira bintu. Ogo no mutabani nsegana mbone. Ogo narasubona kishikanya ngamba ko senior 6. Nabana binyoriro mu itaka ryangeryo nabatakana bacumanya erimpinga mwe bimanga hinga mwe bicori ate ntwishyirizina ngo sertimbe tako basa kumpungurira bintu cumasha ngo bako mumshija wanje yono kargibanda aje ntware bintu.
Whereas many would expect better social services, Buhweju remains a basket case. There are hardly any good schools, roads and hospital. This is a concern which is shared by the district chairperson and area MP.
This district, gold is one of the biggest resources that God gave us. But unfortunately, we cannot tax gold because of those laws. And even when it comes to the, tax collection, local revenue generation and collection is a technical function of the chief administrative officer.
There is him here, then there is the miners have social responsibility to put up some schools, put up some hospitals. People just come and grab and go, not even putting up a facility, So at the end of the day, what is Buhweju benefiting from this gold? What are the surrounding communities benefiting out of this other than exploitation? So we intend to take it up with the ministry. We'll continue to engage government and say we have been exploited enough, we have been abused enough, we have been robbed enough, not anymore.
But the local governments are not really in the know of the activities that are happening in the mines, because you realize that even these private companies do not report in any way to the local government to make them know about their contracts. It is not public information at all. And the kind of monies and the kind of work that is being done in the mines is not regulated. It is not, there is no way that the local government can track to see that they can have some kind of income from the mines. Everyone comes from wherever they can come, and then they do the mining.
Even as investors, including Chinese, eye lucrative mining deals in the district, there is fear that Buhweju is up for grabs, and as the treasures buried in these lands are spirited away, all that will remain is environmental destruction and the people at the mercy of their masters.
The Chinese came, they acquired their licenses through that process that I have gone through. And they came, but they found it rough because the people resisted. Up to now, as I speak, we are in court because of this kind of arrangement. We have been engaging government to the effect that we are proposing that let the legal regime be overhauled so that we are able to involve the local leadership. 2, 1, to involve us in licensing, because we know where our people are, where they are getting their survival. And we wouldn't wish politically, first of all, and secondly, these are people that are just getting something to put on their table.
We also realize that we have a challenge of government not doing their best or doing our best to protect the investors, the local investors, the Buhweju people who have capacity to mine the gold. Somebody comes from China, somebody comes from elsewhere.
Yeah, we've heard there are those trying to grab.
They come and say, this is our gold. You know that we have a license here granted to us by government. And then you ask which government? Anyway, we have a case in court where the Chinese took the people of Buhweju to court that the people of Buhweju are mining Chinese gold. Can you imagine? That the people of Buhweju are mining gold of the Chinese.
Uganda lost more than 10 billion shillings in royalties from undeclared gold trade last year. According to the Auditor General's report for 2016-2017 financial year, only 16 kilograms in gold exports were authorized, while Uganda Revenue Authority records showed that more than 8,000 kilograms were actually exported. Yet those who care about the dark web of this trade and rip-off by the fortune hunters have little to care about the plight of the people of Buhweju. Emmanuel Mutaiziwa, NTV.